Before I start making videos with my new trike, I thought I'd talk a little bit about my old trike and why I got a new one. The trike featured in most of my videos till now is an air creation clipper. It was built in 2001, before the Sport Pilot regs in the US when two-place ultralights were permitted for instructional use. Apparently the original owner was John McAfee, who was heavily into triking at this time and bought a number of air creation trikes. It received an airworthiness certificate and was transitioned to an in-numbered light sport aircraft by its second owner in 2007, as required by the changing regulations in the US. I and several other hang glider pilots purchased the aircraft in late 2012 for the purpose of training to become tug pilots to help the Hang Glide Texas Aerotow Club. The trike is powered by a Rotax 582, a liquid-cooled two-cylinder two-stroke engine, and does not have oil injection. Although two-stroke engines are generally considered less reliable than their four-stroke counterparts, we never had any issues with this engine and logged nearly 700 hours on it at the time I sold my share in it with one overhaul in its life. It originally came with an Air Creation KISS 450 king-posted wing, which had a maximum trim speed of 50 miles per hour. The sail eventually needed to be retired, and by that time Air Creation no longer made the KISS sail, so we ended up replacing the entire wing with a Northwing Quest GT5. The GT5 is a strutted wing with a maximum trim speed of 60 miles per hour, so it was a bit of an upgrade in terms of speed, with lighter pitch pressure at the cost of stiffer roll handling. One of the more unique features of this trike is that the rear seat is replaced with the luggage compartment / backrest when the aircraft is flown solo. All of its instruments are analog, and radio communication is achieved through a handheld radio attached to an external antenna. The fuel tank is 15.8 gallons, and its burn rate at trim on a solo flight is under 3 gallons per hour, giving it considerable endurance. While my original intent of buying into the aircraft was to help the hang gliding club, I soon found trike flying an enjoyable end in itself, especially cross-country distance flying. The aircraft, especially equipped with the GT5, served me well in this regard, and is proof that it is entirely possible to get into triking relatively cheaply. The trike may be old, but it's in great running condition, and I imagine a similar one could be purchased for under $10,000. Having said that, I realized as early as last summer that if I was going to continue flying trikes, I would within a year or so be running into limitations with my current aircraft that could not easily be addressed through upgrades. And thus I started watching used trike listings online, hoping for that golden opportunity to acquire an aircraft that met my requirements without breaking the bank. So what were my requirements? To start, I wanted a smaller wing and a bigger engine, specifically the ubiquitous Rotax 912. This would have a few advantages. First, it would allow me to fly faster. 60 miles per hour is fine to me in no wind, but a 15 mile per hour headwind reduces your ground speed to 45, which is just slow to me. With the Clipper, I had to save my longer flights for light wind days. A faster trike would significantly increase my reach, and the area one can cover increases with the square of range, so this would open many new destinations to me. Second, the higher wing loading would give me better resistance to turbulence and easier ground handling in wind. Evolution says the following of their Discovery wing, which I believe is the same as the GT5. Its larger size is best suited for calm to moderate conditions, but it can handle more severe conditions which simply requires more physical effort to fly in. I think this is an accurate description of the GT5. I've flown in some pretty rowdy conditions with it, but you really have to fight the wing in those conditions, and since I'm interested in longer flights that will necessitate flying midday, I wanted something more manageable in turbulent air. Finally, the 4-stroke 912 is a more reliable engine than the 582. Although, as I've said, we've never had any issues with our 582, two-strokes are known to fail suddenly when they do. Keeping the 582 water temperature within the specified operating range has also proved challenging. We've had to partially block the radiator grill with tape to ensure the temperature wouldn't drop too low in an idle descent, as when landing or practicing simulated engine failures. But the amount of tape required for solo flight would risk the engine overheating with the higher RPMs required for two occupants. so we had to adjust the amount of tape depending on whether we were flying with a passenger, not to mention ambient temperatures. The 912's temperatures are much more stable and require much less monitoring. With a faster wing, I also wanted an electric trim system to get the most out of it. The Clipper is capable of cruising at 70 or even faster, but bar pressure makes it impractical for significant lengths of time. A transponder and ADS-B out were also essential to me. I think the importance of this equipment depends a lot on where you fly, but I'm based near 2 Bravo airports and can't get within 30 nautical miles of either without it, significantly limiting my options to the east. As with more speed, a transponder would expand the possible destinations and routes available to me. Being able to talk to air traffic control was also a requirement to me, and the comm system in the Clipper really wasn't up to the task. We've had trouble with reaching Class D towers in adequate distance from them, as well as when on the ground at Class D airports, so I wanted an in-dash radio with a better antenna. Having a private license allows me to fly at night, but without position lights, I couldn't even fly the Clipper past sunset. I wanted a trike that would be equipped per 91205 for night flight, with lighted instruments and a landing light. Although I'm not especially interested in flying night XCs, I do want to be able to plan a flight that ends at sunset or during twilight, and not have to stress if I return later than anticipated. The end of the day is typically the best time to fly, but because I had to allow myself an adequate margin to return before sunset in the Clipper, I wasn't able to take full advantage of flying in those conditions. Night flight is another reason I wanted the more reliable 912, as I'm not sure if I'd risk it with a 582. Finally, after being grounded for a month last year trying to obtain a part from Air Creation, I wanted an American-made trike. Not because I think they're inherently superior, but because it's a lot easier to obtain support from a domestic manufacturer. The opportunity I was waiting for arrived in the form of a 2019 Northwing Scout XC with low hours and seemingly every option Northwing offers save a parachute. With its 12.4 meter Conquest wing, it offers performance similar to a Revo with a rival wing, while still being something I could actually afford. Furthermore, it was located at Bay City Regional, a mere 26 miles from my home airport. This made the transaction much easier for both buyer and seller. The trike met all of my requirements save one, it doesn't have a landing light, and Northwing doesn't offer one as an option. However, an aftermarket solution can be installed with manufacturer approval. Among the included options are Rotax 912 ULS, the 100 horsepower carbureted engine variant, a Trig TT22 transponder with ADS-B out, a Trig TY91 radio, a GRT Sport EX glass panel EFIS and an EIS engine monitor, a Pathfinder remote ADS-B in receiver, winglets, position lights, and strobes. Rear disc brakes and a 16-gallon fuel tank are standard, although the current production model for some reason has a smaller tank. I may make another video later giving a full assessment of the aircraft, but I think this one is long enough as it is. I'll just say that having put 48 hours on it so far, I've been loving it, and it's met all of my expectations. I've had some incredible adventures with it I would have never been able to do in my old trike, and hopefully I'll have videos of some of them up soon, so stay tuned.